What's going on, everybody? It's Christian Ballard here at Ballard. Well, I'm used to saying Ballard Sports Media. I am from that on YouTube, but here at the Voice of College Football, Mississippi State Live edition number 18. Of course, I've been around doing um, all of these, almost all of them. I think I've missed one or two here or there. Andrew is not with us tonight. He got to go to the game, so hopefully we hear from him a little bit later this week. And I guess he's busy. I don't know if he's like traveling, trying to get back home, but he asked if we could move the show, and I said, "Man, I really want to kind of get a show in on Monday night." And I told him I go solo, so we're here. Check it out. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us at the Voice of College Football wherever you are on social media. We're pretty much there. We got podcasts on Spotify. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, as always. Um, TikTok, if you got that. So be sure to like and subscribe. And thanks so much for tuning in tonight. So, we got a couple different things we want to look at. We're going to start tonight talking up the Tennessee game, just to give my quick thoughts on it. And I'll have to look back and check. I double check with Andrew. I don't know if he was able to do a post game. He went to the game this weekend. But the Vols take down Mississippi State 41-31 in a actually 41-34. Let me change that. I apologize. 41-34 in Starkville. A really good game. This game went to overtime, just single overtime here. And Tennessee, of course, getting the touchdown and defense coming away pretty strong. Joey Aguilar for Tennessee in this game, 24 of 44 or 24 of 40, a touchdown, but two interceptions through the air. So that's credit to Mississippi State's defense. 335 passing. I think there were a couple good plays for Mississippi State's defense in this game that you look at and you say, you know what? They showed up. Yeah, they gave up 41. Um, Braylon Staley lost a fumble for Tennessee, a wide receiver, number 14. Mississippi State able to recover a fumble. The Tennessee defense, we'll get to that. I'm jumping ahead of myself here, but I will say this. Let's break this down one by one. Let's talk about the Tennessee offense. Obviously, they had enough to put up more points on the board here. 24 of 40, 335 through the air, one touchdown, two picks for Joey Aguilar, the only quarterback to play in this game for Tennessee. Also, Blake Shapen, the only quarterback to play for State in this game, at least as far as we saw throwing the football. Kamario Taylor got in there a couple times, 3 carries, 10 yards. Tennessee able to run the ball pretty effectively. 32 carries total, 131 yards, two rushing touchdowns. Longest play, though, was of 25 yards. That was the longest single play, but they still had those good moments where they were able to effectively, push the pile, pick up first downs, move the sticks, right? Not really any defense from either team in this game. Uh, I mean, Tennessee's defense, they were able to come away with 5 sacks in the game for 11 tackles for loss as well. They had 102 total tackles defensively. Tennessee did 42 solo tackles, which added up to quite a bit of different players. Uh, Arian Carter, 6 solo tackles. Andre Turrentine, 6 solo tackles. There were it I think the score does not indicate the effort that both defenses put out there. Um, You look at State, because obviously we're not here to talk all about Tennessee. You look at this game for Mississippi State. Brandon Jennings had 2 tackles on his own, 10 um, total. Zachary Tillman, we talk a lot about him. He had 2 tackles for loss and a sack. DJ Reed had a tackle for loss and a sack. I mean, there was so much in there. Jere Bledsoe had a tackle for loss. So here's what they had. You tallied up 78 total tackles. That's pretty good. 22 solo. Um, so you had a couple different guys out there with multiple solo tackles on their own. You had some assists. You had 2 sacks in the game, and you had 4 tackles for loss. Those aren't bad, but considering that you let Tennessee defensively outgain you in those positions, that's where you kind of let it get away in this matchup. Now, credit to Tennessee. I think Andrew and I touched on this. Like going into the game, Tennessee is not the Tennessee of 2022 this year. That was really, really good. They don't have Nico. They don't have the Hendon Hookers. They don't have they just don't have those guys. I feel like they're more improved defensively as they were a few years ago. I think you saw that a little bit at times so far this season. You saw it against Georgia. You saw it against Mississippi State, even though in those games they gave up a lot of points. But defense kept them in it, got turnovers at times to get their offense back on the field. Um, just so much to really take away from Tennessee. I'm not here to take anything away from them other than they did a heck of a job and they did what they had to do um, to win the game. Uh, looking at kicking, not that we really touch on special teams much. Kyle Ferry for Mississippi State had a perfect extra point game, 4 of 4. He was 2 of 3 on 3-point field goals, longest of 51. Max Gilbert, his longest for Tennessee was 38. He was also 2 of 3 at 67%. He was 5 for 5 on extra points. Um, so I mean, special teams we thought was going to play a factor in this game a little bit. Field position was going to matter. I really think going into this game, that was the prediction was if you could get in good field position, you'll get a chance. There were some moments in this game where Tennessee didn't have the best of field position, and they still put up really big drives. They really did. You know, I look at the scoring drives. Tennessee was able to eat up not too much, but still quite a bit of clock. I'm talking over 2 minutes on a couple of different drives that they ended up scoring on. Their first drive of the game uh, ended up with uh, a field goal for 2.5 minutes. They went 7 plays, they went 55 yards, they kicked a field goal. The next drive ended in a punt. 5 plays, 50 yards, but they still laid up just close to 3 minutes. Uh, it was, I mean, this was the game you wanted in Starkville. It didn't have the results you wanted. You obviously wanted to win this game if you were Mississippi State. You had your moment in overtime, and it blew up in your face. I'm not here to criticize. I'm not here to put down. Tennessee, clearly the better team here. This is only the first loss and only loss so far for Mississippi State on the season. They're 0-1 in conference play. They're 4-1 overall. And we're going to talk a little bit later about the Texas A&M matchup, but I, I just think that overall, looking at this game, you know, the drives that they had, they were really, really quick. Mississippi State tried to go fast. There were some games earlier this season before they got into conference play where they wanted to stall out some drives, specifically against teams like Northern Illinois, who also wanted to stall drives too. They were pretty quick. They had a 3-play drive that lasted a minute and a half in the first quarter. That was the opening drive of the game. They were able to score on their next drive, um, and Mississippi State ended up taking a minute 38, but they scored a touchdown with Fluff Bothwell, who I thought had a really good game. When you look at Fluff Bothwell, what he was able to do, 23 carries, 134 yards, and 2 touchdowns. A 2-touchdown game for him. Blake Shapen had uh, a touchdown and a pick. Hey, there were just some drives that just made you scratch your head, but then you also had good drives where you ate up some clock a little bit. It took you a couple plays, you got down there, and you were able to punch it in. That being said, again, I don't want to take too much time away from like in this show specifically on the Tennessee game. It was a great game to watch. I'm glad Andrew got to be there. Shout out to him. We'll get him on later this week. Hopefully for a call in on Thursday. I'll keep in touch with him. We'll see what happens there. But 41-34 in Starkville. The Vols get the victory, unfortunately, for Mississippi State. However, on the plus side of this game, it's your only loss. Yes, it's in the SEC. We'll talk about this A&M matchup here in a second. But I think what you need to take away from Mississippi State is they showed they can be very competitive. Even though they gave up 41 points, defense had some good moments too. I mean, you talk about 2 picks for Joey Aguilar, forcing turnovers and great field position, able to capitalize on the next drive, right? What really stung for Mississippi State was the secondary outside of those 2 picks. Because the lead receiver, who is this, Mike Matthews, had 118 yards. Lead receiver in the game, lead receiver for Tennessee. 118 yards total for Mike Matthews. So there's that. I'll say one more thing. I got to listen to thank you. I got to listen a little bit to Jeff Levy's press conference. He talked today. He said Monday's a mental Monday, a way to be able to clean up the mistakes from the prior game, and it's the ability to get on to the next opponent, to start preparing to give ourselves a chance to be the best that we've been all year long on Saturday at 6:30. Of course, a night game this week with Texas A&M on the road in College Station. And we're going to talk about that game. But he said clean up the mental errors, and I think that's a big deal there. I think Jeff Levy knows what he needs to do. I don't think Mississippi State needs to hang their heads on this one. I really don't. You look to next week. They look to bounce back in College Station against the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies. And this is going to be another challenging game. They go on the road here, on the road after a home loss. This is your moment now. Is Mississippi State going to go 0-2 in conference play? Which A&M actually ranked at the top 10 at number 6, 1-0 in the SEC, 4-0 overall. Let me double check here. What's their they beat Auburn this past weekend. Okay. So they got Auburn. They also have wins over Notre Dame, Utah State, and Texas San Antonio. They were able to win by 1 point in South Bend and won by 6 against Auburn. They are playing good competition. They are beating good competition, but they are also playing them very close. And I think that's going to be something that Mississippi State needs to take note of this week going into the game. Comparing the quarterbacks, and I want to actually share screen and we'll pull up what ESPN has. So I'm not lying and everything. I'm just kidding. So we got this. So Blake Shapen over 1,000 passing yards, 1,064. Marcel Reed, he's at 1,076. We have the run game advantage with Fluff Bothwell compared to Le'Veon Moss. Now, who's better as a talented running back? I feel like it'd be Le'Veon Moss. I could be wrong there, but he was highly recruited a couple years ago. I believe a 5-star recruit. So I I look at this and I say that Texas A&M has a talent advantage. They have a receiving advantage and a quarterback advantage. We have a run game advantage with Devon Booth and Fluff Bothwell. We have the receivers. I think have looked pretty good this year. We had talked last week or whatever about how Mississippi State has the guys that overall they're able to rotate those wide receivers. There's not a clear wide receiver run. One. I mean, I guess there is in Brennan Thompson, but they've used Anthony Evans. They've used Seydou Traore, that tight end. They've used uh, Jordan Mosley. They've used these guys. They have over 1,000 receiving total so far this year. That's something they couldn't really say at this point in the season last year. They're at 1,130 receiving yards through 5 games. I mean, that's really good. That's incredible to see. So, with that being said, again, turning the page to Texas A&M. How does Mississippi State match up against the Aggies? Is it a fair advantage? Is there any disadvantage? You put Tennessee aside. Tennessee, probably just a better team. Going on the road here, going to College Station at night on Saturday in prime time on SEC Network, you're probably going to face a better team as well. But you have advantage numbers wise in the run game. And I feel like you have the more complete roster in receiving. Not numbers wise, but I'm gonna be honest with Anthony Evans, Brennan Thompson, with all these guys from Mississippi State, I feel like they have a talent advantage more so than Texas A&M. Not to take anything away from A&M, not at all doing that. All I'm gonna say is I feel like the talent and the togetherness and the bond and just how they've worked, the chemistry that this Mississippi State team has had is on a whole nother level. Whole nother level. Again, this will probably be a quick show tonight, maybe 30, 40 minutes. We'll see. You look at the defense so far for Mississippi State through 5 games, I'm sorry. Isaac Smith, Hunter Washington, those are your leaders on defense. Isaac Smith at safety leads in tackles. Hunter Washington at safety leads in interceptions. Isaac Smith, 28 tackles, leads the team. Hunter Washington with 1 interception leads the team. You say, well, it's only 1. Hold up, because I asked Andrew about this last week. I said, doesn't that show how great your secondary is that you have these guys? Brian Lanier has a pick. Javen Williams has a pick. Hunter Washington, Jerron Manning, Diego Brumfield, Isaac Smith, Zachary Tillman at linebacker. One of those guys, not so much in the secondary. Linebackers get the ball sometimes in their hands. It happens. But I just named you about 6 different guys that have interceptions We've yet to get a pick six. We also have a secondary guy in Javen Williams at corner that's forced 2 fumbles on the year. That's pretty damn good. I mean, the numbers don't lie for Mississippi State. They don't. They're in a good position defensively, regardless of how many points they gave up this past week, regardless of if they win or lose this game. Like, yeah, are they gonna have some bad games? It's year 2, but it's technically the true test for Jeff Levy. It's year 1, right? It's day 1, year 1, game 1. Every single week, we're just seeing something new from Mississippi State, and we're still learning. We're growing as a program, as a team to see what these guys are capable of, right? I think that's fair. Um, I mean, so there's not a I'll say this. I feel like because of recruiting and stuff lately, Texas A&M has a talent advantage over Mississippi State. Le'Veon Moss, Marcel Reed, Craver at wide receiver, Scooby Williams at linebacker, Taron York. I could go down the list on defense. They got a lot of great guys. Will Lee, Albert Regis or Regis. I don't want to butcher names here. Bryce Anderson at safety. Damian Sanford, Cassius Howell. Listen, there is no disadvantage or major talent gap. I think. Well, maybe there is. What I'm trying to get at for this is for Mississippi State. I hope we don't go into this game shaken up a little bit because there's just bigger and better dudes for Texas A&M. That might be the case, but that shouldn't be a mindset. You have guys from Mississippi State. Yes, Texas A&M had the number 1 class a few years back. They still got 1 or 2 of those guys out there. Yes, they're recruiting constantly with Mike Elko right now in the top 15, top 10, whatever. And Mississippi State's down in like the 30s or 40s right now. They're working their way up, though. We'll have to do some recruiting talk sometime soon. But when you really look at it, even like the star recruits are huge today, but it's not everything in the world. It's just not, you know? Like I think you say, well, it's not set for Mississippi State defensively. They don't have a set starting 11. That's fair. They're able to rotate bodies in and out on the defensive line. Holy cow. I mean, tell me other teams out there that are able. I mean, yeah, Georgia can do it. I think Alabama can do it at times. I think Mississippi State, I'm not trying to necessarily compare them to the big dogs of Georgia and Alabama. Pun intended there for Georgia. Shout out to you. Um, I'm not necessarily trying to compare them to those teams because they have talent on both sides of the ball. I feel like I don't feel it for the offense other than Devon Booth and Fluff Bothwell. You can rotate in and out and be fine. But I feel like on defense, there's something special about this Mississippi State team that they play together. They play their guts out, hearts out, leave it all on the field. They just there's something that they do. The chemistry that they have, you just can't take away. And that's why they have all these guys. Like Jeff Levy sees that someone's not stepping up on defense and maybe giving everything they got, or maybe they are and it's just still not working. Pull them. Don't be afraid to put the next man in there. You know, Brian Lanier, let's say you have 2 safeties on the field. Brian Lanier, Isaac Smith. Go with that. I don't know. If one of those guys goes down and gets hurt or just is having a bad night, you can trust Tony Mitchell and Jerron Manning. Yeah, I mean, you have the guys to do it. So again, there's not a talent disadvantage for Mississippi State. There's not an advantage either. I don't think we should look at this game and say Texas A&M's ranked number 6. They got more talent. They've just had a better season so far. They beat UTSA. They beat Utah State. They struggled with Notre Dame, but they won it. And they struggled with Auburn, but they won it this weekend. 16-10. Can this be their first loss? I don't think it's going to be Florida next week, nor do I think it's Arkansas. It could be LSU down the road. But I feel like Mississippi State, and we'll do predictions on Thursday if we can. I feel like Mississippi State seems like a bounce back team. They take the loss to Tennessee, sure. They lose it only by 7 at home. Now, it's a tougher challenge going to A&M than having Tennessee come to you. I personally think, at least for this season. So, yeah, it's going to be a tougher game. It's going to be a tougher environment. It's going to be at night, College Station, you know? But what do you take from it? Do you get scared or do you run to it and give it everything you got? I feel like this Mississippi State team is worth all of that. I really do. So, with that being said, I don't have too much tonight, just being solo here. Obviously, Andrew's not here to carry on the conversation. Love you, Andrew. Appreciate you, man. We'll get it next week, if not Thursday, for a call in, hopefully. But I feel like I've said everything I've needed, honestly, to say. I'll give a prediction on Thursday night if we do a call in show. I'm not quite ready to predict or pick this game with Mississippi State and Texas A&M. I will say though, even though I don't think they're looking too good, Texas A&M does have to host Florida coming up next week. But then again, that's Florida. It's I say this while laughing. They're 1-3. Yeah. But so I mean, can you overlook Mississippi State for Florida? You shouldn't, but maybe you could. I mean, can you catch A&M napping a bit? Does A&M have any chip on their shoulder coming in? Do they have any advantages? Passing game, yeah, big time. Like I mentioned earlier, we have Fluff Bothwell, who's got numbers-wise the better game than Le'Veon Moss, but I think Le'Veon Moss, coming out of high school, being recruited as a 5-star, probably the more talented back. But if you want to go based off numbers, Mississippi State's run game and offensive line have to show up in this game to show what they've shown the first couple weeks of the season, and just give it everything they got. Give it everything you got. So, yeah. Anyway, like I said, I wasn't going to go too long. We made it about 30 minutes or so, close to it. So, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this upcoming matchup. Any thoughts on Tennessee? We'll definitely get more reaction and insight from Andrew later this week, I'm sure. I don't know if he'll do a show before Thursday. I don't even know 100% if we're going to do a call-in show, but I'll check with him. I'm down for it if he's down for it. So we'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll get out of here. I love y'all. Jesus loves you. Keep your head up. God bless, and subscribe to the Voice of College Football at Mississippi State. Thanks so much. Hail State. Swing your sword.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.